Lead me on, and I'm weak, and I'm warm. Lead me on to the light. Take my hand. Thomas Dorsey's singing Mahalia Jackson, and she turned it into Precious Lord, tell me stay. Lord, I'm tired. Oh, I'm warm through the storm to the light. Take my hand.
All right. Welcome everyone to TrueFire Live. We have a guest later on. We're going to have Jeff McErlain in here, and we're going to get things started with the Reverend Robert Jones. That's what basically what. My name is Jeff Sheets. I'm the Director of Education here at TrueFire. We've got the folks back in the studio running the switches, getting things done. Tommy back there making it happen. And once again, we are excited you are all here. Spend a little time this afternoon, basically listening to some amazing blues. So without further ado, I'm just going to say hello to Reverend Robert Jones. How are you, man?
Hello, Jeff. It's good to be here, man.
It's great to have you. We're excited about this. Definitely looking forward to this one. It's a lot of fun. You and I have been talking to quite a bit lately about your channel, and we're going to go into that, talk a little bit about that as well. But for sure, fired up to have you here. As a matter of fact, we're going to do some cool things here on the show today. We're going to give away some stuff, which we always like to do. So we have a trivia question for everyone today. Now, if you know the answer to this, we're going to post a link where you got to put the answer. Don't put the answer in the chat box there on YouTube. Don't type it in there because then everyone would see it. And that makes it less of a chance you're going to win, right? So go to the link there. But Tommy's going to tell us. Tommy, tell us what the trivia question is for the day.
That's right. So the trivia question, you guys, for today for Reverend Robert Jones is one that I think you'll be hip to if you've seen the Reverend's courses. Reverend Jones often plays an unusual guitar built by Gary Zimnicki. Where did the wood come from? There it is. That's right. Where did the wood come from that guitar is made of? That is the question. Where did the wood come from that Robert Jones' very special guitar is made of? That's the one that he's holding right there. Put your answer in the link. Don't put it in the chat, right, guys? Put it into the link. You get a chance to win a $100 TrueFire gift card. So,
all right,
awesome. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's let's for sure. Everybody who's watching, go ahead and type in there. Let us know where you're watching from. We love to see where everybody's at. We got a lot of people online right now already. So let us know where you're tuning in from. And I think we should start off with a song, man. Let's get some music rolling here. So, Rev, if you want to play a tune, let's do one.
It's always good to start off with a song. I've always loved the music of Texas. I mean, Mississippi's got its blues, and the Carolinas have their blues, but Texas has its blues. And there's a guy by the name of Lightning Hopkins, who's a great legendary figure in Texas blues. And he writes a song about being in the penitentiary. Now, I've never been in the penitentiary, but I am currently in isolation, as is almost everybody I know. So it seems like this might be an appropriate tune. And refers to a guy named Bud Russell, who's the guy who would take prisoners from wherever they were tried up to the prison, Sugar Land, whatever. And Bud Russell did some work with Leadbelly, and he did some work with Clyde Barrow of Bonnie and Clyde. And apparently he did some work with Lightning Hopkins because he shows up in this song. It's called Penitentiary Blues. I come. I say, big rascals, here I come. You know I'm doing time in the penitentiary, when it ain't a thing that I have done. Lord, you should have been on the Russells back in 1910. But Russell drove them pretty women like he did in Muslim men. I say, oh, big rascals, here I come. You know I'm doing time in the penitentiary, when it ain't a thing that I have done. You know my mama called me, I asked ma'am, say, are you tired of working? I said, yes I am. My daddy called me, I answered, sir, say, if you're tired of working, what you gonna stay there for? You know I ain't hardly doing time, Lord, doing time for someone else.
Awesome, man.
Thank you,
Nice
man.
job. Nice job. That's the way to start it off. And yes, indeed, we're all doing a little time by ourselves here. So yeah,
That's
awesome,
it.
man. Good sound there. Really, you know, great way to kick the show off here. So I'm sure everyone's stuff. You know, that's been something that you've obviously been into for a long time, right?
Oh,
Stories, or was it the
well,
music, or what kind of brought you into that?
yeah, I had this amazing grandmother, you know, showed up with an opera by Wagner or anything, but she loved a lot of kinds of American music. And over, she said, "This is the music we used to listen to down south," you know. And I'm growing up in Detroit, and I'm listening to the Temptations. It struck a chord with me. It was like, here were these two guys. One guy had one leg shorter than the other because of polio. That's Brownie, and I started to like get a harmonica, play along with Sonny, get a guitar, play along with Brownie. And before I knew it, man, I was just stuck and destined for Motown. But this was the kind of music that a little nerd kid could make in his room. And I just,
You figured it out apparently. So
well, it's
I,
always a challenge. The thing that's great about this stuff is you never run out of new.
able to dig back into the past, because the history of this type of music is long, you know. So there you can find things that and make it new. So there's a lot of fun, you know, blues and the authentic old time blues stuff is such a foundation for everything else, you know, almost everything we hear and do, you know, all kinds of other kinds of music. So because this is something that's really, I know you put a lot of work into it, and just launched your TrueFire channel. So everybody who's you know, who's watching right now, go check out the channel, Where the Blues Began. It is I think just a cool journey through blues music history. Not only are you teaching things and showing techniques and licks and how to play, but also giving sort of the history and the foundation of that. I mean, that's really important to you, I believe, isn't it?
Man, I love it. It's absolutely like foundational. When you look at some really exciting thing like Ken Burns and his story of country music, the first chapter is called The Rub, and it talks about how blues influenced those early country guys like Jimmy Rogers and the Carter family, you know, and Leslie Riddle, who was informing the Carter family about their music. And I was thinking about that. I have been sort of doing the rub, but from the other side for over 20 years. And if you think about how a blues man perhaps met a Jimmy Rogers, you follow Jimmy Rogers and it becomes country music. But if you follow that blues guy, it becomes Delta blues. It becomes Son House and Charlie Patton, and, you know, Big Boy Crudup and so on. So, you know, the opportunity to do that on a continuing basis is something that excites me. And I was really working on my TrueFire channel for a while, but certainly the pandemic kicked it into high gear and allowed me to have some time to really work on it. And I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the way it looks and the way, and I'm honored to be numbered among the great artists on the TrueFire channel who represent their genre. And, you know, I'm honored to be one of those artists now.
Well, we're certainly honored to have you. We're excited about this channel. I just think it's very unique in its approach. You know, that's what makes it cool. Anyone who really digs this style of music, obviously, I mean, I don't think they can find a better place to find this stuff. You know, you do speaking, you do public speaking on the subject, and are very knowledgeable about it. So I'm excited to see what the channel will grow into as well. So I'm pretty sure we've got a lot of students that will want to check that out as well. So let's do another song while we're rolling here.
Okay.
What's another song you want to play?
Well, speaking of the channel, I was thinking about the fact that what it really allows you to do is to explore personal styles that are obscure and somewhat, you know, in danger of becoming archaic. And it allows you to talk about the personalities associated with those styles. And maybe in a way that you wouldn't find in your normal, you know, guitar book, alternate tunings, things like that. And so I was thinking about a guy who's included named Nehemiah Skip James. And Skip James, his music is somewhat like almost unmitigated misery. I mean, Skip comes from an area of Mississippi called Bentonia and plays an open D minor tuning, which has got to be esoteric enough, right?
Right.
But his Hard Time Killing Floor Blues, that's a great title, right? So
Yeah.
Think about the killing floor. That's, you know, the animal tight enough, sometimes I can hit that. There you go. Times are much harder than ever before. Well, when you hear me singing this song, be alone. Well, you say you got money, you better be sure these hard times will dry. Lord, but I can't even pay my rent. That's hard times, man. So, you know, the old timers used to say the blues is a feeling. So that's kind of music that's really hard to communicate straight up tab or moan with almost a yodel-like quality to it. And I just love that idea of going back and recovering that stuff. Some of it's available, some of it you can find recorded, some of the stuff. And right. So having, you know, grown up in Detroit, which is really kind of up south, you get a chance to experience this stuff and then to share it and contextualize it. it's pretty
sort of passing that down. I think that's an amazing thing. Otherwise, all you do is have maybe the recorded history, but no one doing it. It sort of dies off. So our courses, blues traditions is really sort of carrying on this same theme of thinking about how to, certain players, the regional styles, the genres, the subgenres, I guess I would say, of the blues back then.
The fact that, as a musician, as a performer, and as an educator, you'll encounter something, a style or a song, and you try to figure out how to play it. And you kind of get there, but you kind of, don't. Then when you have the responsibility of trying to teach it, now it takes you back to the lab or to the woodshed. So you figure out, man, I left this out, trying to listen through the scratches to figure out what the original was. But at the same time, what you want to do is give people permission to make that song their own, right? Because there's folk music as if it was classical. What we've got to do is like figure out sort of the spirit of what they were doing, but then give yourself permission to make it yours. And so, yeah, it's a bunch of these lessons together and have an overall concept and an envelope of what fits with what. And I'll tell you one thing, man, it's a lot easier to do it with Tommy with his 3 cameras and his multiple angles than it is to do it in my bat cave trying to work with a single camera. But it's down and multiple camera angles. It's really great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I know the cool thing about different angles and little different ways to look at it and go about it. So, I know students love those courses, and, we look forward to doing many more of them. Hopefully when all of this gets back to normal, when our world is back to a normal thing again, we'll be able to do more of those, because you're right, being able to see the tab and follow along, besides the fact that you're telling the story, it really gives students
literally all over the world. When people, somebody just dropped me a line from Great Britain saying he was enjoying my TrueFire course. Explain it. So like, yeah.
Hey, that's awesome. Well, if you can do it like grandma, I mean, that's you're on the right track.
Can't beat that.
Any issues with the stream cutting out or anything, don't worry. We're going to post this on our YouTube channel. It'll be all put together there. Where do we got some folks tuning in from here today?
Yeah, I mean, look at this. We've got people here from Los Angeles, Rome, North Carolina, Maine, Dallas, Hiram, Ohio, Portsmouth, UK, Mexico, Milwaukee, Fredericksburg, Texas, Sheffield, England, Washington, D.C., Butler, PA, Montgomery, Alabama. This is a great opportunity for everybody to get a glimpse into your world, man. It's really, really cool.
That is awesome. Good. That is awesome, man. That's good to give some shout outs and connect together. And what brings us together is some of these tunes that were written many years ago, which is a really cool kind of a, thing too. I want to talk about real quick is you're not only doing the channel, but you're also offering private lessons on our platform, on the TrueFire private lesson platform,
right?
Which will allow a student to do a little one-on-one, right?
That's true. You think about, if you were young Robert Johnson, Son House does not give you tab. He does not, you can't meet him. He's not in a classroom. He's not as best you can. And maybe if you get a chance to catch him later, you put it in, you sort of like bring it to him, and he says, opportunity to do it the old traditional way of like you working on something. And what you come up with is cooler than the thing you started with. And, that's the thing about if Earl Scruggs had just, done clawhammer like everybody else, like always the cat who does something a little differently, but you have to have a foundation to build on.
Well, that's great. And I think there's certainly, I'm sure a lot of our students, and sort of pick your brain about stuff that they, maybe there's not just got the Rev's private lessons up. So if anybody is out there, watching, wants to check out that, and for sure the channel, go enroll in the show. I know he's got a bunch of videos up there now, but a bunch of new ones ready to go. So
Without
go
doubt.
dig into the channel. That's a good place to sort of stay up to date with it all. So let's do another song. You ready to do another song?
Okay. Sure. This is a sort of a classic example of what happens when you become a TrueFire teacher. Is you go in thinking you know a song, and then before you know it, you realize, well, yeah, how the song goes. But then there's always that polishing and that embellishing. So I think when I was down with Tommy and just in one dime, and it sort of went like this. Well, I'm broke and I ain't got a dime. Lord, I'm broke. It's hard to look sometimes. Now that song comes from the great Blind Smith, who records in 1920 something called the Crazy Blues. About 4 years later, Blind Lemon Jefferson comes along, and he's the first country guitar guy, one of the first who records. He is no doubt the greatest. And one of the songs he did was a song called One Dime Blues. But upon listening to it, you think, oh, there's some stuff missing. So I'm broke and I ain't got a dime. I'm broke and I ain't got a dime. I'm broke and I ain't got a dime. Everybody has hard luck sometimes. I was standing on East Carroll Street one day. I was standing on East Carroll Street one day. I was standing on East Carroll Street one day. One dime is all I have. Well, Mama, don't you treat your daughter mean. Mama, don't you treat your daughter obscene. Don't you wish your friends was bad like this, James? Don't you wish your friends were bad? Shooters, highways, some passengers, trains. One thing I was all I had. One thing I was all I had. One thing I was all money knew. But all the money knew.
Lost, on certain folks is sort of the importance of traditional music and the importance of going back, and they think you can trace back at least the foundation.
One of the things that is fascinating to me about a Blind Lemon Jefferson is to understand in the context of his time how Blind Lemon doing, and it was revolutionary in its time. We hear the scratchy recordings, but and have people throwing money at him and having musicians falling all over themselves trying to figure out what he was doing. It's really a simple lesson is when we look at that idea of country music, and the reason Rogers is basically a white blues man, and he's playing, right? Basic turnaround. At some point, he discovers the for the turnaround. So we discover that blues and country are throw them in country songs, and folks are amazed because, wow, where'd you get that? Well, I got it from Blind Lemon Jefferson, and I put it in
have those blues foundations, that's like, oh, you can trace that that progression, a 12-bar progression. I mean, man, how many those roots and when folks were doing that. So pretty cool stuff. I want to make sure everybody knows that we do have a trivia question. Tommy, shout out that trivia question one more time for everyone.
Special guitar that he's using today. This unusual guitar was built by Gary Zimnicki. At the link in the description here, not in the chat, guys. And you'll be entered to win a $100 TrueFire gift card. Good luck.
That is right now. That would be, probably a welcome addition to anybody's wallet. Certainly suggest for any of the fans that's watching this, check out the Blues Traditions courses. You have those. They're, once again, just a neat way to me of looking at the different styles, the different ways, the different approaches. And I think that's, something that's very cool. I think you have other ones that you want to do, right? I mean, you have other possibilities that you can go down those roads.
Oh, definitely. It's like not only am I a TrueFire teacher, but I'm a TrueFire customer too. So some of my contemporaries, I've learned a lot just by going and checking out some of the other material on TrueFire. One of the things that I would love to do, and we were sort of scheduled to do this before the blues instrument, and I know a lot of people have 12 strings, but don't necessarily. You get the thing, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna learn how to play this, and you pick it up and you realize, man, it does not behave like a six string. And so, Rudy Ledbetter, aka Leadbelly, and as a guy who died in 1949, so I mean he's been gone a long time. But his influence is Leadbelly, but Blind Willie McTell, maybe Barbecue Bob, and some other obscure folks like that. But certainly Leadbelly was the ongoing projects, is blues on the 12 string.
Awesome. Well, that's, I think, So why don't you show us? Give us a little taste of that.
Well, one of the things that cheap is called a Frellini, but it's shaped looks like a Stella, braced like a, and then tune up the pitch. You tune it on 12 strings, but it also works for baritone guitars. So it goes B to B. And I was just thinking about this in Texas. And he's a great storyteller. He'd say, me and Lemon, we just be driving all up and down Texas, and we'd be playing, and you get to play along. And I remember traveling along with Blind Lemon on this train, and we was bound for this little town called Silver City. And when it is city bound, me and Blind Lemon gonna ride on down. Me and Blind Lemon gonna ride on town. Lived by the king. Sweet baby. Blind Lemon was a blind man. Take me by the king. Sweet baby. Come and lead him. Me and my baby sit down. Me and my lemon go ride on down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So that's the stuff you can do, on a 12 string.
Yeah, among other things. Here is the first sort of real guitar that I ever owned. It wasn't that good, but it got me started. It was a Madeira. Made by Gil, and my grandmother helped matching guitar that goes with that. A great old K arch top that actually sounds pretty good. Sort of a fake resonator mandolin. As long as I keep the cases consistent, my wife doesn't ask too many questions.
That's what my wife tells me every time I see some new jacket or something in her closet. Well, I've had that for 2 years. It's like, I've never seen you wear it.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, absolutely.
We're getting pretty close to when are we gonna spring that?
I'm not sure. I think we're gonna pull it probably towards the end of the show. We'll pull Who's Up Next.
That would be awesome. Yeah, let's do one more tune, then we'll pull out. Then we'll do the one.
You being here, and of course all the folks who are tuning in, I really thank you. And I tell you, it's been such a wonderful joy to reach out and touch the world. So I just thank everybody for this.
Oh, absolutely. We are thrilled to not only have to offer there in your basement, the knowledge you have, the history, all of that, and to be able to sort of marry that authentic, amazing storytelling tradition, very, very powerful thing. So let's do another tune.
Okay. So one of the people who, of course, this my repertoire probably doesn't have a lot of meat shaking mama with the meat shaking on her bone songs in it, because ultimately I'm still, I'm a preacher. Had his conversion in 1934 and found a way to take his musical talents and use them in a different way. So, not long ago, I had a call from a friend, a mentor, a good buddy of mine, Roy Bookbinder, and he asked me to, send off a little clip, send off this clip of what I thought was 12 Gates of the City. And I send it off to him, and he writes back. He says, "This is great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I love the way you put your own spin on Rev's music." And I thought, own spin? I thought I was playing it the way Rev played it. Well, that was a lesson to me, that no matter how much we try to play it, according to, Hoyle, it's always going to come out a little bit different, right? So this is somewhere between Reverend Gary Davis and Reverend Robert Jones. Please tell my mother, meet me in Galilee. Oh Lord, what a beauty! Oh, what a beautiful city! In the north, three guys in the south that say, oh Lord, what a beautiful, well, gates to the city, hallelujah.
So we've got, I'm going to throw this back to Tommy and see if he's got our trivia. We got our trivia back picked out.
Winners yet. Guys, go ahead. Just one more time. The trivia question is, where did the wood in Robert Jones vary? In the description for the trivia question, we're going to choose two winners. There's another trivia question coming up for the next artist, Jeff McErlain.
Awesome.
Gonna do.
Want to just say once again, thank you so much for being here. Of course, you've got your new, but much of the stuff you've been talking about here, the sort of the history, going over the history of some of these songs and players, and keeping sort of are interested in private lessons. The Rev is now offering private lessons, so a great opportunity to learn and dig a little bit deeper into this style of music, where it's very much a vocal driven tune. So learning how to do those things together is not easy, right? Learning how to play with the private lessons. He'd be happy to have you there. So go check out the private lesson page. And of course, his courses, right? Go a cool way to learn that and check it out. If you don't already have those in your library, you should go check those out. But Reverend, once again, want to just say thank you down in the studio when that's safe. But if it's not safe for a while, maybe we can do another one of these things.
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate it. Thanks to Tommy and really looking forward to just continuing to make this music. It helps us to get through this. This is the best way to fight the COVID, is to make some music. And,
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Rev.
Up next, we are going to have Jeff McErlain. He's going to be joined that we'll be posting here once we get Jeff underway here. Once again, this will be recorded, is being recorded, so the whole thing, and review it multiple times. With all these, it's great because there's just a lot of good information, good material, and at our TrueFire YouTube channel. And you can go to the TrueFire Live page and see the archive of all the previous live events that we've done. So lots of cool live stuff there to check out.
Oh, somebody's
I hear
plugging
guitars
in.
buzzing. I feel like, man, that feels like we're getting electrified. I feel the electricity in.
Who do
All
we
right.
have? Who do we have
Tommy,
now?
you gonna roll a video?
I actually don't have a video yet. So
Let's not roll a
What?
video. All right.
Let's just go straight to the man himself.
Why roll a video when you've got Mr. McErlain
I've gotten
in
gypped on the video.
his
What's
home?
up?
Jeff McErlain coming
get
to us
you your
from
dang
Brooklyn.
video.
What's up, brother?
How's it going, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing this crazy live stuff that we got to do online because we can't actually be in the same room together, but it feels sort of like that. So
Yeah.
I know you have a lot of fans at TrueFire. I'm sure they're tuning
Thank
in
you.
droves right now to check this out. So thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.
Leave in the chat where you're tuning in from. This once again will be recorded, and you will be able to watch all of this later. We're going to talk with Jeff a little bit about several things. His YouTube channel, some cool things he's doing with his lockdown series. We're going to talk about his TrueFire courses. That could take 4 hours just to talk about his TrueFire courses because there are so many of them. And we'll talk a little bit about an upcoming channel that he's been putting together, working hard on. It's a labor of love for him, and I know he's put a lot of effort into this TrueFire channel. It's not launched yet, but once it is, it's going to be pretty stellar, I believe. So, and I think we're going to do some playing, right? We're going to play
A little bit, yeah.
play some tunes as well, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
So what have you been keeping busy?
Thankfully, extremely busy. Yeah, I guess, it's a good time to be an online guitar teacher.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful to everyone who's been supporting me at through either whether it's through the YouTube thing now or lessons and courses. And so, yeah, it's been a lot. It's been cool, but it's, catching, suddenly we're thrust into this online. Everything's online. I'm very fortunate that I was a little bit ahead of the curve for teaching online for many years, So, and working with Tommy and you guys getting everything up lined up and working right and everything like that. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely, certainly an advantage to some folks that have been doing the online thing for a while. And, there's a lot of scrambling with those who haven't done that.
Right.
Good luck trying to buy a webcam these days online. It's like, studio lights are sold out. They're either sold out or they're triple price right now, right?
Right. Or an HDMI capture card.
Right. Yeah. That's just forget about it. You want an Elgato card? No, that's just that, that's big money. So, well, let's see. Let's start off. Let's play something.
All right.
If you want to do a tune, let's get some music rolling here.
Yeah, let's see. Hopefully, this track, we're winging on the audio,
Sure.
Realize this track's a little lower, so I'm going to turn my guitar down a little bit. It's a song from my record. Just something happened there. All right, yeah, it's live. No one happened there. That's so bizarro. All right,
that's a good ending. That's a sweet.
Yeah,
ending.
we just never end like that. See, it's live. So
stinger ending.
That's like playing with a real band, right? Where they just do something unexpected, and you're like,
well,
what?
I just played the melody one more time, and then we're out. So okay. I don't know how that happened.
That's awesome, man. That sounded great. That
thanks,
sounded great,
guys.
by the way. As you always sound great and tasty.
Thank
So you've been
you.
doing a lot of this stuff on, on your YouTube channel, doing some new YouTube stuff,
Yeah.
doing the Brooklyn Lockdown series. So tell us about that. How'd you get started doing that?
Well, it's what happened was I started. I've always wanted to get a YouTube channel together, but there's so many things that, how difficult that is to get that going, or setting up the time to do it, and you're teaching and you're playing and you're trying to write record, make music. And so, what else were we going to do? I just thought, well, I got a webcam. I'm going to go live and just start doing the lessons. And you guys initially shared one or two, because I kind of jumped on it, right away. And then that brought in some people, and it's kind of started to explode a little bit, which I've been really psyched about. So on Wednesdays, I just do a live lesson, just on a subject, and it's kind of like a little TrueFire thing, and all these things are actually kind of related to all the courses, which has been fun. So here's an idea from one of the courses, I'll expand upon it, and you can get more in it from that course, And then on Saturdays, I just thought, why don't I get a bunch of my friends on a Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, and I've had on Matt Schofield, David Grissom, Mark Letary was on, and Joey Landreth is coming up this Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and Robin Ford the following week, and Scott Sherrard is coming up, and so there's a whole, no, Scott's the following week, and then Robin's after, and I've just got Josh Smith coming, so a bunch of TrueFire friends as well, and it's been cool. So what I do there is a little lesson, and we just kind of talk shop, and it's really been fun.
That's great. Those are really, really cool. So everybody should for sure, go check out your YouTube channel, go subscribe to that.
Please.
Because that would be a great way to make sure you get notifications. So when one of these events is coming up, you'll know.
Yeah.
Great way to keep in contact with kind of what you're doing as well. So for sure, go subscribe to Jeff's YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Speaking of channels, you're also working on a channel, on a TrueFire channel that we've got. TrueFire channels are really, taking off right now, and we're just launching channels right and left, and they're doing great. So I know you've been working on one and kind of putting some content into there.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of content in there, I believe, right? What kind of stuff are you going to be doing in there?
Well, I have a lot already, and I've gotten a lot of really excellent emails from people saying, when is your channel launching? And I always fight the perfectionist in me. I need it to look a certain way and be perfect and this and that. So, sometimes fire, or and you do your own thing and you want it to be of the same quality. So there's that. But what I want to do in the channel, which is not a blues guitar player, but growing up certainly a rock and got metal guy and hard rock and all this kind of stuff, and fusion. I've got a really big fusion background. So in the channel, I'm going to talk more about that stuff as well, and specifically things that influenced me directly. I think working through some songs, sounds corny, that I am today. You know what I mean? Like, we'll visit a little of the rock stuff, and here's what I got from the rock stuff, and here's the blues stuff that I've incorporated in the future.
Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I know how you are, so I just, what I'd say. It's good, man. It's good, right? The one watching, for sure, chime in where you're watching from. Also, there's a couple links that you should be paying attention to. There's the tip jar there for basically being here and doing this. Every dime of that, all that money goes directly to the artist. So if you appreciate them being here and spending their time teaching and sharing, go drop a tip question.
Is it that time of the show already?
Woo!
Let's talk trivia, guys. Again, reminder, don't put your answer in the chat. If you know the answer, hit the link in the description to answer is for Jeff McErlain. What German guitarist is Jeff a huge fan of?
Huge.
One correctly for the Rev, and the one for Jeff. You have 2 shots, so give it a shot.
There you go. Well, that's a good deal. That's you can't lose on that kind of thing. So appreciate if you'd play your favorite German guitarist licks during this song.
If I would, yeah. I'm not warmed up enough to do that.
That'll make it easier to figure out.
Yeah, you know what? Let's talk about, I've got a new course coming out, right? The changes. And I always felt like, these rock songs and vibes that we had growing up, or at least for me, being, my early 20s right now, that would incorporate the chord tone soloing and mode course, because I think it'd be fun to talk about that, right?
Cool.
And here's actually one that didn't make it to the course. Let's do that, right? Bonus material.
Ooh, bonus.
So.
So very cool. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us a little about kind of how you're approaching that.
Okay. Sorry. I grew up, my brother used to listen all the time, and I was into Ozzy and stuff at the time, so I didn't really pay much attention. Chord progression of you get B minor, D, A, and then to G, right? And so you're just changing key. So what the course does is, and the way I think about something. Just playing B minor pentatonic and kind of hone that. But there are some chord tones in the relative major minor, so that's cool. Well, A, I've got this A note, C sharp and E. Then I go down to a G chord, really G7. So I have G, B, D, nice and simple. So my B chord, so my D chord. It's kind of play roots. So I can just simply take the root A to G. So I went down and the root B minor,
It's a hair, man. 3 dBs down, please.
All right, well, I can do it by percentage. How's that? Is that better?
That's going to be good.
Okay. All right, cool. So I'm just running. So my B for the B minor, and I go to the D chord. I just play the A. And I go to the A chord, stay in the A, and I go down to the G. It's already kind of got these lines, these melodic phrases built in. And then the second time through, the chord progression plays B minor, D, A, and then E, major. And that's how I'm going to play that G sharp. So if we just run through that, playing just the simplest notes, the roots or the thirds. Here's the B on the B chord, A on the D chord, A on the A chord, that G on the G chord. And now, same line. Now the G sharp and the G on the E chord. So I can build a melody off of just those simple notes, and the rest of those surrounding ideas are minor pentatonic scales.
It's awesome, man. So that's very cool, and it's for sure like your chord tone soloing course, right? Mm-hmm. I talked about a lot of that, and I think that's something you do a good job of explaining. Is you start simple, just follow the root and play a little something, and then you can start adding the third and adding other notes. Yeah. Sometimes I think students that I've run into try to just jump right in and play all of the notes over.
Absolutely. And then you could think about the positions. You could just see the chord in there, the B minor to the D, A to the G, Down half step to the C sharp. Now down to the E7 chord. Same thing in the string. So those notes, if you just start playing those chord tones and thinking about how they work, they can bring you up or down.
If anyone has any questions too, feel free to fire those away in the chat.
Yeah.
I know you're having a little bit of trouble with the stream. Don't worry.
The stream, oh well.
It
That's the way it
happens.
goes. It was perfect this morning.
I know.
No, I don't think it's you. You're good.
Yeah.
You're good up. So if anyone has any questions in case something happens,
Yeah, just in case. Yeah. I forgot that was
good,
there.
you know.
That's
I
pretty
mean,
fun.
some guys want to have, it's good to have an extra guitar, set of strings, but
On top of your amp. Can you? I didn't realize that was there too.
it's got to look the part, right? It's got to look
sure.
good. The new TrueFire course, I think that's some cool stuff. And yeah, you for sure have played a lot of blues stuff. We've done a lot of blues courses with you at TrueFire. But you did a new course as far as the different progressions and stuff. How do you approach that, or how do you think about that versus blues, which can be, fairly static chord progressions when you're doing 12-bar stuff. You kind of go from one. Not that every.
My blues started off with Zeppelin, in bands like that, and I got more and more into legitimately old school blues through those guys. And you're like, they didn't, Clapton and Cream did. You see where the songs come from and learn the history, which is super important. And then hearing one of your dogs. Rock stuff, I just grew up being like Sabbath fanatic and Ozzy and Maiden and Judas Priest and Michael Schenker Group and UFO and all those things. But get deeper into the blues was fairly easy because I realized most of the things I was playing were just kind of from that anyway. Listen to Tony Iommi, the first record especially, it's like a blues record. There's a lot of blues on the record. Yeah. Like I'm even messing it up. That whole kind of top thing right there. And Lazy from Deep Purple is a blues. It's just a ripoff of Steppin' Out, So as I started in Zeppelin, I mean, Jesus, it's blues. Then I got into it,
Yeah, awesome.
So to answer the question, well, I love playing blues but all of my favorite blues players who were not the old guys, the originals, they all have a twist going on in their blues playing, right? Where there's a jazzier influence, they might throw in a little more advanced harmony, or they might throw in a change or two. That's not part of the standard form, and we're talking about like guys like, of course, like Robin Ford and Matt Schofield and all the guys who we look at who follow that framework of taking it to this next step. And that really, as I got better at playing blues, I started getting into playing over the chord changes more, right? Because you kind of want to do that, and then it made, but that's not always the best choice. So the idea of playing blues and answers that question.
No, that's great. That's perfect, man. That's awesome. So let's do another tune. Let's play another song. If we're ready to roll on another track, let's do that.
Okay, hold on. Let me record. And the mix downs were so low volume wise. Right before I went online, I'm like, I can't pump up the volume. And the idea of incorporating some chord changes into a blues, right? So this one, I'm just going to... benefit of teaching a lot is I don't get a chance to practice a lot.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'm just doing there is, I love that the introduction of those kind of ideas from guys like Scott Henderson for me, where he did that great record, flat 7 dominant 7 chord or something. So instead of that groove's kind of like a James Brown like. Now, instead of a 5 chord on the last 4 bars, I put in a flat 7 dominant 7th chord, which would just be B flat 7, right? So that was really kind of fun, and all I'm doing there, my B flat 7, right? Then my F, my 1, then my 5 chord. So just that kind of little twist on that change right there really perks up the ears, and it makes a night of playing blues a little more interesting to me. Oh, I can't hear you.
That is, I believe, the the interesting part about kind of what you said before, the playing over changes and stuff is a lot of times students start off just learning a pentatonic scale and say, okay, you play that over everything, over the whole 12-bar blues, over this whole rock song, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then when you hear the Robin Fords and Josh Smith and these guys that, seem to be playing other notes in there, that sometimes is difficult for students to figure out. They're like, hey, they're playing a different scale. And that's where you get into what you said, which is more following those chords. You got to be paying attention to what the chords are doing, more like a jazz player would start out. Jazz guys usually start out with that way of thinking, and even sometimes country players, I find, have more natural thoughts on following the changes as opposed to sometimes the beginning blues and rock students. So I think that's why, showing students that you do such a good job of that, basically explaining that, how to take those simple licks and make them sound more interesting, by just following.
Palette so much more as a player. It makes it more interesting to me than playing stock kind of blues licks that you never really kind of want to do. And I threw in some, but sometimes those contrasts that sometimes those things give you, and there's a familiarity to some of those licks that border on cliche, but if you play them well, then they sound good. As long as
they're standard cliche licks for a reason, because they do sound really good, and they work a lot of times. But if you're just doing nothing but licks, some students struggle with. And for sure, your courses have always done a good job of that. I mean, you have, how many TrueFire courses do you have out now?
I think it's 32.
32 courses.
Well,
who knew there was 32 blues licks out there, right?
Well, like you.
So you've done, you do, man, so many courses. And I know a lot of folks watching are basically, probably have a lot of those courses. And certainly a lot of all access students have the ability to check them all out.
Sure.
But, if you were to say, if someone was to ask you, hey, I want to start getting better at rhythm, 2 of yours, or what couple of courses would you say?
All of them
would be a good place to dig into rhythm.
Every single one of them.
Buy them all.
Take 5 blues rhythm. I like that one because I start off kind of simply, and then it gets pretty deep by the end. And I have it on my YouTube channel, and it's in the beginning of that course. It's kind of like 6 chord voicings you absolutely must know how to play to get your, the chords that everybody plays. That and my YouTube page, it's and you can. If you watch the preview, it's right there. But I like that one because some of these voicings just really opened up the front door for me. And then, you ever remember, Jeff, like you watch guys play and you're like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, I know A7 and I can't, how come that A7 does not sound good? You know what I mean? And so just finding like that first dominant 9th chord with no root, that was like the first kind of big eye open, which brings me to like something that was the eye opener. And I talk about it in that course, and something I've certainly learned. It's like a jazz sort of concept of keeping a lot of the notes the same, common tones between chords, and what's the most elegant way you can change between the 2 chords and build a melody and have another thing going on at another level if you're playing in a metal band. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I love playing in metal bands. I mean, I can't play as loud. Well, I do play pretty loud sometimes, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't it's a different genre. It doesn't work. So I like that course a lot. I think it really kind of lays it out. And I do this thing like 3-note inversions of 4-note of dominant 7th chords up and down each string set. And that's like another sort of eye-opener for me about that chords are just, you can imply chords, you don't have to play the whole thing. You know, there's just other ways to do it other than the bar chords.
Sure. Well, so give an example of that, of those, how you think about that.
Okay, sure. Okay, well, about the 6 chord types or the kind of dominant 7th inversion.
Yeah,
thing.
the dominant 7.
Oh, sure. Okay, it's a bit heady, but let's check it out. So let's talk about E7, which is a 4-note chord: E, G sharp, B, and D. So if I'm going to take there's like magic strings on the guitar when you're playing rhythm guitar. It's usually the top 4, but definitely the D, G, and B. So let's just say if I could take like E7 or just E triad. So I have E, G sharp, and B. And then if I want to go I can playing 3 notes of a 4-note chord. And this is also kind of broken down in my rhythm guitar survival guide course too. So I have E, G sharp, and B. So then so I have. Now what I'm going to do, and this is nice, a little heady, I'm going to move up the next note of the chord. So then once again. Right, all sounds roughly the same. And then what's going to happen, the G sharp. So there is an E7, a 3-note E7. It's going to move up to the next note in the chord, and everything else will remain the same. So that B moves up to a D. Just doing inversions, like 3-note versions of a 4-note chord. And this keeps going. So if I'm kind of just jamming, like, fingerings for it, I would maybe not play that much, but I can start going through these inversions of the chord. Big thing. So an E blues would be. B7 chord. One of the inversions for A7 would be this. And there's E. So this, playing just bar chords. So these smaller inversions of the chords opened up a ton of stuff for me. And that's E7 to A7. Check that. To A, right? That's a great sound. So finding some of those voicings was a real big eye-opener. And this stuff is also all in that Take 5 Blues Rhythm Guitar course.
Yeah, it's great stuff, man. That is so crucial. And I know you get asked students this like I do, which is, how come when I play a 12-bar blues, it doesn't sound as interesting as when you're playing that 12-bar blues,
Yes, exactly.
So that's something that is really, really, key for students to learn is don't just play that one chord. Don't learn if you only know one place to play an A chord, it's always going to sound the same, So you got to learn to spread that out a little bit. That's a huge concept. So that is a great course.
It's
you have
a ton
so
of
many
work
good courses,
too.
That you've done once again over the years. Lots of different ways to look at blues progressions, blues soloing, and a lot of cool stuff. Make sure for everyone watching this, once again, this is all being recorded. So if you're watching it later, go to the link in the description and go to the tip jar. You can leave Jeff a tip for working here and sharing his knowledge, basically freely, because he's here to share. And let's play another tune while we're warmed up and rocking.
All right, I was afraid you were going to ask that. Hold on. I'm sorry. Like I said, all the stuff in the record.
Right. Well, where's the best place to send people to buy that? Because that's an awesome record, and everybody should have that.
Well, actually, I'll play one of my songs from the record unaccompanied. I'll do that. But You can get to my stuff. Well, it's on all the standard things, but if you want to buy copies of the two of them, download them yourself. It's on Bandcamp. Jeff McErlain. Was it Bandcamp? Sorry, I don't remember. And the two records is my first record. It's called I'm Tired, and the second one, which is Now, featuring with Robin Ford that we did. Yep. And before all this went down, he and I decided to work on do another record together. So I'm pretty excited. He's like, yeah, you want to do another one? I'm like, sure, I'll do another one, you know. What I'm psyched about is we both had that same feeling of we're better at live in the room. And then what happens in Nashville happens in Nashville, and that's the record, you know.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, let's.
So, it's getting a little. Hold on. It's live. Wow. Let me start that again, shall?
Sure. We'll edit all this out.
Yeah, let's edit all this out. Okay, so you watched me live just completely crashing and burning.
Jamming.
All right.
That's what us guitar players want to see anyway.
That line.